Hello, 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 and welcome to the Crew Podcast. I am the visionary Queen Angela, and welcome to Season 2. I want to thank you for tuning in and for all of your support throughout Season 1. We're back, them divas of the airwaves. So thank you for joining us tonight. Share this with someone in your circle.
At Wings of Transformation Publishing, we are committed to helping our authors reach their goals and pursue their dreams of becoming published authors. We work closely with each author to ensure a successful publishing experience, and we are dedicated to helping them tell their stories in the most meaningful and impactful ways. We look forward to putting you on the path to writing your book.
Because I'm back.
Welcome to the FC Book Gal and Friends Chat. We're going to be talking about the latest in book reviews, author interviews, and life. Come on in and join us. We're ready. Are you?
I know you like that. How long you been back, man? I see the girls in the club, they're getting wild for me. And all the pretty chicks all wanna smile at me.
Hey everyone, this is your girl, SC Book Gal 843. And okay, see, the technical difficulties already starting, but we will still have us some fun tonight. So, y'all know that I'm here another Saturday night with a new author. And all my erotic heads, we got a book for you. So I wish I had put up the cover of this book, y'all. Just say, let's just say Players Club. That's the vibe that I get from this book. So I am going to bring author Tasha Wright. Y'all, let's go ahead and get into this. Come on up, girlie. Come on up.
Hey, what's going on?
I am good. That is the vibe. When I look at your cover,
Yeah.
I automatically think Players Club.
Girl, that was the whole mood of that book. I was trying to go for that.
I was like, look at this chick. Okay, so before we dive into that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am an author. My name is Tasha Wright, and I have been an author since 2022, if you're talking about published. I've been writing for a while. I have probably been writing since I was like 23, but it was in the poetry is what I was writing before. And so, I just kind of wrote just to be writing a little bit here and there. And it was my husband who said, you know what, you should write, like write, really write. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I was just kind of playing it off because I didn't really think that I was, even worthy of even like showing people my work. So I used to write poems just around the house, stuff about him and then just little stuff. And then I actually put pen to pad and was like, you know what, I'm going to do a story because I have so much going on in this head of mine. I was like, well, let me go ahead and put this story together. So I just wrote, maybe, about a quarter of a chapter, and then I put the book down. Then I didn't pick it back up. And then all of a sudden, 2021, I picked the book back up again because my husband had been hounding me the whole time. So imagine, I was 23, I'm 46 now. That happened when I was like 45, 44, 45. So it took that long to actually write a full book. And so, because I kept putting it off, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get to it. So then finally I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it this time. So I went and read through it. And finally I was like, you know what, I'm about to finish this. And I was real determined. So I did it. And before I knew it, I had a published book. So that's exactly how that happened.
So Black Diamond is asking the same question I was going to ask you. Like, how hard was it to go from poetry, as it's a couple of lines, to a full-fledged novel? How hard was that?
Well, it really wasn't that hard. I thought it would be a challenge for me because I'm thinking, I'm gonna do this poem. I'm like, I ain't never wrote a book. And to tell you the truth, I've never really fully read an urban book. So I didn't even know the first thing about it. And all I kept thinking was, I don't know if anybody would even read this book. And that was my first thought.
Time out. I have read bits and pieces of your book, and you're telling me you have never read a full urban novel.
Not then. When I did my first book, I never read an urban fiction novel ever because I didn't even know they existed. Now, I know I lived under a rock and I know everybody in urban world is like, what? Are you serious? And I'm hearing all these different type of books now. And I'm like, yeah, I never read that. And so I was like way behind when it comes to urban fiction. So please excuse my my unknowledgeable self because I didn't know. I really truly didn't know because I wasn't a reader. I was just more, just here and there. I was like, I'm not reading a book. Like, oh, who wants to read a book? Because I thought all the books were just, boring. Until I finally actually read an urban fiction book, and I was like, oh my God, where have I been? And everybody's like, oh, you got to read this and this, and I'm getting right now. I'm getting overwhelmed with books. So.
You just hurt my whole heart. Being a librarian, saying books.
Oh,
you are not my friend until you come up with another book.
I'm so sorry. And I tell that story, and everybody goes, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yes." And so, unfortunately, that was who I was, and I was like, because I think school did that to me. More of giving all these books that just weren't interesting. Like they would have us read all these books, and I'm like, I don't want to read about that. I don't want to read about that. Like it just wasn't nothing that grabbed me. But I will say,
what's that?
Urban fiction books, I absolutely love all of their books. Oh my God. When I first read my first one, I was like, oh my God, where have I been?
Do you remember the name of your first one?
Yeah.
First one you read?
First one I ever read was by my mentor. When I first published my book, I went to him to actually get tips on a lot of things about how to publish my book. And so I was like, well, you know what? While I'm doing this, I need to read one of his books because he's probably thinking like, okay, so what type of book you doing? And he's asking all these questions. I'm thinking like, yeah, I think I know what type of genre this is. I don't know. I'm just writing this book. And so I said, well, let me read this book. So the book I read was Crybaby by author King Benjamin.
Oh, wow.
My first book. And I read that book and I was like, I got so into it. And I was like, oh my God, where have I been? I'm like, he actually can write. He writes just like I do. He writes almost the same stuff I do. So I was all excited.
I'm thinking this is a book that I had in the library one time. Let me check and make sure, because I don't have no problem with going on Google and looking at this. But let me ask you another question. So, not to ask, but I'm gonna comment on something you said about being in high school and reading. I work at a public library and have been for 19. Oh, I never read this one before. Oh, wow. Boy, that stopped my whole train of thought. Let me go ahead and add that to my Goodreads read list.
Hey, shout out to author King Benjamin.
I have a lot of students, they have to read Tears of the Sun, Prisoner 1054, and it's not books that they want to read. So when they come back to the library, I see the parents bringing the babies. Oh, let's get the babies some books. But the teenagers and the young adults and the parents won't get books. So literally what you're talking about, I have to take, and this is what I call it my specialty, is take book the movie. So I had one little girl was with her mom. Her mom said, "Ooh, I can't wait to look at Power on TV." This me, yeah, you got a whole nother week to look at the new episode. She's like, "I just wish I had something that could get me through the week." Oh, I got you. I said, "You want a book?" She said, "I don't read a book." She came back 3 weeks later, was like, "You got any more?" Got you. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
It's that bridge between high school and we call it the young adult years. It's lost because you're required to read all this Fahrenheit 451. I still don't understand what I was supposed to learn from that book, but I read it.
Yeah,
Animal
same here.
Farm. I still don't know what I was supposed to learn, but I read it,
Yes.
So, but your poetry, let's talk about that before we get to this strange addiction.
Okay.
What was your poetry like? Because if your poetry is anything like some of these scenes, you got a strange addiction, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and publish that too.
Well, glad you said that because I am a hopeless romantic. That's what you're gonna get from me, and my poetry is hopeless romantic poetry. So yes, I am a love poet. So yes, you are going to get that from me, and that is how my poems are. I wrote a poem about my husband, and he absolutely loved it. And so that's where it just went for me. And to tell the story about how that even transpired and me being, I didn't even know I could write like that. It took me watching Love Jones to actually realize that I could write poetry and write books. So when I sat there, and it was Lorenz Tate's poem that I sat there and I said, oh, when I heard his poem, I said, I think I can do that. And I sure put pen to pad, and I was like, I was surprised myself. I said, ooh, this is good. So definitely. So yes, and to let you know, I am planning to write a poetry book, and that will come here in the next couple of years. So you will see poems from me, and that was a plan of mine all the beginning of this. Because I was like, if the book thing don't work, I'm definitely gonna write poetry. So,
And it's one of those things. Poetry is people. I think anybody who reads, or anybody who would like to read, if they're not avid readers, I tell them start off with some poetry
yeah.
in a genre you like, because their
Oh, yeah.
poetry is for everybody.
Oh
You
yes.
just gotta find the right thing.
And I was surprised to find out there's a lot of authors who write poetry, and I said, okay, I didn't know that. I've read a few of them. I'm like, okay.
Poetry is popular.
Yes.
So this strange addiction. Okay. Who, what, where, how, why, everything. Like, what?
That one was to tell you the truth, that book came off so easily for me. I pictured, I already had the main character. I already knew Curves was going to be the main character in this book. And the concept I have for her was she was a stripper, but she didn't want to be one for a long time. She had bigger things going. And I wanted to kind of leave away with that, because a lot of people, they hear the word stripper or dancer and they thinking like, okay, she don't have nothing going on. She ain't trying to do nothing. But Curves had a whole different angle with her. Even though she had the body for it, it just wasn't something that she had
the mind wasn't there.
And so it just came off easily. I just thought like her. I was like, well, if I was her and she wanted to just do photography and film, which is still kind of along the same lines of what she did as a career, what would she do? How would this work? When she went to college, how would she? And it just flowed. And I already knew I was going to put the professor there. Rob was going to be the professor. And that was how that was going to go. I had Rod's character when I made Curves. So I knew they were going to vibe just off of, and I wanted to also do, I love Prince. Prince is my favorite entertainer of all times. Me and him have shared the same birthday. So I wanted to do a tribute to him as well. So when I did these characters, I wanted them to be very sexy. I wanted everything to be spiceful. I wanted them to have, I wanted them to all have some type of Prince feel to them. And so that was the whole stream of the book.
Okay, so you're saying you want everybody to have a Prince feel to it, or a feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
How did the professor, what Prince aspect did you give him?
I gave him Prince's name. Prince's name is Prince Roger Nelson. So I kind of flipped it a little bit and made him Roderick Nelson. And so that was how that came about.
Oh, that was clever, because I'm thinking to myself, I thought his name was
So yes, if you notice, the names in these books are kind of interesting, to say the least. But that's where Rod's name came from. It's first Roger Nelson, so I said we're gonna call him Roderick Nelson, and then just give him Rod as a nickname, and then kind of make it sound sexier a little bit, kind of like a Rod.
you did that. This book was I saw it in the category of urban, and I said, why is this book in urban? The only thing urban in this book is the people. This book need to be in. Do not have this book on your phone or tablet where your child can read. It is ridiculous.
Yes, that was the whole aim of that book, was I'm about to see how far I can go with this book. And that's exactly how I wanted to do it.
So since your husband inspired you, what did he say when he read the book?
Oh, he loved the book. He was like, okay, I see where you're going with this book. So he loves the book. He's read it too, and he's like, oh, okay. That's all you can say.
When you said I started off writing poetry, I'm thinking in my back of the head, Patrice, you remember some of the stuff that went on in this book? And she told me she started off with poetry.
And I was in my early 20s. I was in college too, so that should tell you a whole lot about how this book got transpired. A lot of things.
We're gonna take a break real quick, and we're gonna come back. And my second half is some fun questions for you. Because we now know some princes in this. But we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back and have some more fun. Come back, you guys.
Turn off the lights and light a candle. Tonight I'm in a romantic mood. Yeah. Let's take a shower together. I'll wash your body, wash mine, yeah. Rub me down in some hot oil, baby, yeah. And I'll do the same thing you. Just turn off the lights, come to me. Girl, I want to give you a special treat. You're so sweet. Turn off the lights.
Yeah, I see that. And I see a poem already in your head. I see all up ahead. A big old poem. She about to spit the pen tonight. We have Prince. And we have Lum Jones that played a factor into your book. So, Curves. Who would play her in the movie Strange Addiction?
Well, the book is Strong Addiction.
Strong Addiction, I'm sorry.
That's okay. But I don't know. Probably between now Cardi B or maybe Nicki Minaj. I don't know what their acting skills are like, but they definitely fit the part.
You know who I was thinking?
Who?
Now since you went to the rap world, I was thinking Remy Ma.
Oh yes, Remy could play. Even Trina. I would even take Trina.
Ooh. I can see Trina.
And it probably would be Trina only because the part 2 in this series has a lot to do with Miami. So Trina probably would be able to play.
Did you say part 2?
Oh yeah, there is a part 2 to this. It's published. Part 2 of this series is on Amazon.
What the name of part 2 is it?
We have a lot of couples in this book now, so
Yeah, you had and that's one thing I did like is that you had a lot of characters flowing in and out. It
Yeah.
reminded me, I was getting, even though these ladies are much more sophisticated, I was getting a sisters vibe with all the characters coming in and out. The
Mm,
sisters, if you look at that show, they got to rotate. I don't even know how Tyler Perry paying everybody. Like every
mm,
time you look between sisters and all the Queen's men, it is a
mm,
rotation of characters. But
mm,
I like that because there's always that wow factor that, oh my God, and what they about to do with you and why are
mm.
you in this book?
Well, you can blame that on me being a Gemini because I have
Oh,
a lot of personalities going on at once. So sometimes I'm switching and taking people out, putting people in. Somebody's talking to me at that time. And that's just basically what happens. It's like, okay, let me go into this character a little bit more because we need to know a little bit more. I need to let them see a little bit more of this. So that's the Gemini in me.
I know a lot of authors, they can't handle that.
I
They
know.
the storylines get confusing, but you kept it smooth, you kept it going. So what is your secret? How do you do that?
I visualize this when I do these books and I'm writing before I put pen to pad, I'm already at the end of the story in my head, so I know exactly how I want it to go. So by the time I'm putting pen to pad, I'm just flowing in my mind on how what's next, what's happening next, what's happening next. And I know a lot of people can't do it because I'm a pantser writer, so I haven't even did an outline or anything. I'm in the character at that moment. I consider myself more like I'm a pantser, but at the same time, I'm in curved shoes while I'm writing. So
Wow.
when I'm writing, I'm curved. So just to let you know, I'm writing, I'm curved. I'm whoever it is that's at that moment, I'm them at that moment. And so that's why you're getting those type of feelies from the book because I'm actually Rod, I'm actually D, I'm actually Moist. I'm in the bodies of them and they're talking through me and I'm right. And that's basically how it goes.
One of my favorite authors, her name is Mel Dew. She
Mm,
says that too. She's like, man, trees, they just be talking to me. And she's like, I literally stop what I do and I start writing.
I do too. I do
And
too.
another one of mine, he's now in Florida at an event, Kareem Williams. He does it too. He's like, man, trees, man, I just be writing stuff. And I'm like, I just don't understand how y'all keep. I can barely understand conversations sometimes. I'd be telling people, hold on, will you say again? so, so for y'all to keep all these different individuals and keep them in line and then produce this wonderful work.
Thank you.
So I told you my fun questions. I already gave you one.
Mhm.
You notice that when I sent you questions, I didn't send you these one.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Who would direct your book if it was turned into a film?
Now that is an interesting question.
Hmm.
I don't know. I really don't know. Whoever it is, they got to be able to work with me though, because I gotta have that book. Got to be. It has to be next to the book as far as the movie is concerned. So I have no idea who I would pick as a director. I really don't. I just know they have to be workable. And when I say them scenes got to be just like it's got to be like the book. You can't. I'm not skipping Rod's scene with Curves when they first meet. That's not happening. I want all the details.
Okay. Okay. See. Somebody said Taraji P. Henson.
Oh, I would go with Taraji. I would do Taraji.
Okay.
She
I
was
had,
good.
what's his name? What's his name? He's a character. He's not a director.
Greenson.
And Uncle, what's the man from the valley? I'm a witness
Oh,
back P
I can.
Valley. What's his name?
Now,
Uncle Cliff.
Uncle Clifford, yes.
I can see him. I can really see him.
Woo, that would be good.
I can see it.
So
Oh, somebody
it's
says
gonna definitely be spicy.
yes. Somebody says 50 cents. I can
Really,
see it.
I can work with 50. I have a few other books that I have published that I would love to work with 50 on.
So
Yes.
tell us about one of your other books. What else you got going on?
Well, I have a total of 9 published books on Amazon. So I have a book series. There's a 10 book series going on right now, and it's a hood urban hood fiction book. And I'm dropping another one. It's dropping the parts. I think I'm on book 6 of that series. Next month it'll be dropping that month, and it's called The Code Keepers. And it's about a set of 5 guys. They are from the hood. They're coming of age. And this book that I'm getting ready to release, they will be grown and violent and sexy and yes, and
You're
boss.
giving me this Zane look. Like the first time I saw Zane when I was working an event for the library, and they said, okay, Zane is coming up. I'm thinking I'm about to look at some dime diva walking around stilettos. And when she came up, I said, yo, she looked like a soccer mom. She think like that? I said, what would she be doing? I said, this and me stereotyping, and I'm so sorry, Zane. I really do apologize. I was thinking she got to have about 4 or 5 kids. She only had one child. And her daughter is not even allowed to read her work when she was young. I was like, well, like, what kind of house mom and stuff is this doing?
You'll be surprised.
Yes, because when I tell people what I'm reading, they look at me like, and I said, no, don't stare. I said, it's okay. I mean, I was even afraid to tell. I had a director that came to the library, and she was like, well, what are you reading? I said, please don't ask me that right now. I'm in the children's section trying to find books. Do not ask me this question. She said, no. Never be afraid of what you're reading. This me, all right? You asked for it. She said, what are you reading? The book at that time was called Choke Me, Spank Me, Pull My Hair. She said, oh, okay. Good. I said, it's good.
She never asked.
Looking at you, I would never see a 9-book hood series. You go, girl, with the next one dropping next month.
Next month, that'll be book 6.
So you gotta, send me the information so I can tell all my people go grab it. Go grab it.
Yes, I sure will. But yeah, I've been working. I love writing. I think that's one of the things that during that gap period that I had that I didn't publish anything. Now I wish I would have wrote more then. Because then I'm like, oh my gosh. So now it's kind of like I'm playing catch up, but I'm not. I'm enjoying it. I'm like, I'm in a good place right now, and it's just coming to me. I'm getting so many different ideas. I'm getting so many different characters, and I'm just writing, and it's just coming. And I'm like, oh, I got all these good ideas. I'm like, I just dropped the book in just last month in January, end of January, February, called Favors. And somebody asked me how I came up with that concept, and I'm like, well, I was listening to hip hop, and hip hop is my big influence on a lot of my books because I truly do love hip hop, but more of the '90s. I listen to a little of the current, but the '90s.
The '90s was the time. Oh my God, yes.
And a lot of my male characters come from that, like from the good type of '90s roughneck type of dudes who have a gentleman side to them. And so that was where this hood series comes from. That
you got DMX on your playlist. I see that already.
Oh, definitely.
I see that.
Jay-Z, all of them.
I see that. You got that on your playlist.
50 Cent too. So
for some reason I couldn't get into 50 Cent. I started getting and not even as music wise. I read his book because he does have a book out. He has a fiction urban book. So I read that, and his television shows, oh my God, I'm addicted. Like I can look at Power all day long. I don't know why, but me and Power are like best friends. But his music, I just can. It's the party. I'm like, no.
You're a rough rugged girl. I can tell. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Hey, like I said, I love the '90s music, and a lot of my male characters definitely come from that. The hard nose, boots, all of that.
I know. I like him hood at that time. I was a hood chick. I love him hood. Thank God I grew out of that one. Girl, them days were scary.
I understand, so you ain't got to tell me.
Man, I had them in my club days. Like, oh my God, you can get out the club at 3:00, got to be to work at 5. So
Yes.
they look like, oh. Thank you, Lord, for delivering me, because boy, them was some scary times.
I understand, so I was there too, girl.
Oh my God. And now you look at the music that they have nowadays, like, what they say?
Mm-hmm.
What they, no, I don't understand that. Let me let you listen to something I listen to.
Right.
But then when you sit back and we listen to some of the stuff we listen to, like and, yeah, especially Tupac.
Look at you, see?
Give me a second. Tupac. Who Jesus? So, you know, people is... Okay. Trees, book. Yes. Okay. So how can we follow you? Because I do know you have a very strong social media presence, and I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Post on Facebook is like grabbing me. I was like, oh yeah, let me like that. Let me screenshot. If you guys know, I got over 1,000 screenshots of books.
Wow.
In my phone. It doesn't make any sense how many screenshots that I get from authors.
Wow.
But tell us how we can follow you, if you're going to any events, what you have going on. Just give us that rundown before we close out tonight.
Okay. I can be reached on Facebook, Tasha _ I think it's _ Writes, author Tasha Writes, on Facebook. Instagram, I'm Tasha _ Writes on Instagram. I am Tasha Writes on TikTok. I think I'm Tasha Writes on Twitter. And Threads. I'm on Threads too. So I think it's Tasha _ Writes on Threads too. All of my names are on every last social media. There's no way you can't find me if you look up Tasha Writes.
Do you have a website or anything that people can purchase you? Right.
I do. My website is TashaWrites.com.
Hey, you guys, if you missed any of that, that was very simple, but we're going to have a landing page for her on Etsy Book Gals and Friends Chats. Tasha, you know this was a lot of fun tonight, right?
This was. I enjoyed this.
So you know you got to come back again, right?
Oh, I wouldn't mind at all.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for writing them books to make you want to curl.
Oh, yes. I got more to come.
And all those other things.
Yes, ma'am.
But again, thank you for coming out tonight, showing, actually gaining new readers, showing that you are not what you read. We will be looking for that poetry book and your new release to come out next month.
Yes.
You guys, it's another Saturday Nights in the Book. I will be with you again next Saturday with a whole new author and a whole new book. Check throughout the weeks, all my social media. This week is dedicated to our little people. It is National African American or Black Children or Child Book Week. So every day I am going to be showcasing books that are for our younger people. Let's get them back into reading. These statistics are staggering. And I might have my little person take some pictures and tell me about her favorite. So check out social media. That's if she work with me, y'all. It's her birthday week and she acting like a pure diva.
Oh.
9 going on 99. Thank you guys. Enjoy your Saturday night. Tasha Wright, thank you for joining us again.
Oh, you're
guys,
welcome.
I love you. Good night. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you found a new book to read or a new author to explore. Join us again in 2 weeks for SC Book Gals and Friends.